Welcome in, folks, to Conference Crunch, the fastest analysis of college athletics probably anywhere. This show's going to last anywhere from, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes, something like that. Got John started in here as well as we have a live little broadcast as we basically record the show. But appreciate everyone tuning in. Conference Crunch, jam-packed show as we got conference college football playoff looming. You've had some incredible bowl games thus far. Um, John, as we get into the show a little bit, what's your thoughts on some games you've watched thus far? Now, I don't want to get into that deep analysis. We got games we're going to talk about, but go ahead.
Man, it's been a crazy last week or so. We got regarding if you're a betting person, the New Mexico Bowl shout out to a Pop-Tart jumping off a cliff, it feels like. But is this one of those times you got players that are staying in the portal and still playing in games? And hey, man, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, it does. All right, man. Let's do a quick scoreboard whip around presented by Southwest Airlines. If you're looking for the best way to fly, always fly Southwest. All right, John, let's go to some interesting matchups across the board. We saw Ohio, the Bobcats, get a big win over UNLV. Top 25 scoring offense, by the way. But big time win for Ohio in the Frisco Bowl. Oh, man, go down to Hawaii, John. Melekaleke Maka as the Rainbow Warriors, 35, Cal 31, protected home turf with a late touchdown to cap a back and forth ball game. A lot of fun to watch. And then the New Mexico Bowl, man, shootout. But North Texas, big time win there, John. What's your thoughts on the Mean Green? Big time season as Eric Morris and Drew Mestermacher both probably head to Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Not only the quarterback play impressive in that game, but the running back play for North Texas alone also stood out to me because they're number one in the country with a rushing quarter or rushing running back that had that many touchdowns going into that game as well. So don't cut out the mean green if you're, with the running attack as well. But man, we knew North Texas could score points, right? We just didn't know how their defense was going to be going into this game. You brought up the quarterback play with Drew. I'm glad he stayed for this game in general. He said it during the whole week. He wanted to play one more shot with these guys and do it for the city of Denton, also to North Texas, because he had something to prove after that conference championship game where they lost to Tulane. He wanted that 12 spot in that playoff, or the 11 spot in that playoff, because he wanted that team to go to the playoff. And I'll be honest with you, like you said, he might be going to Stillwater. Time will tell. But man, he's about to get paid either way if he does leave North Texas.
Yeah, I mean, based on what I've seen, he's already. The portal's not open yet, but speaking of portal NIL, we've got a really good show, if I do say so myself, over on the website now about the NIL and about academically ineligible players. Is that something that we haven't heard recently over the last few seasons? In addition to that, we've also got a show, speaking of the portal, over on the Memphis Tigers, as I dive deep, whatever you want to call it, into the portal from a Memphis Tiger perspective. Um, there's been a mass exodus of players. Is this something to be concerned about? So I'd take a little bit of a deep dive into that. But John, speaking of deep dive, let's take a big picture look, man. Um, you look at the SEC right now in bowl games; they're struggling as a conference. You look around other leagues. You got the Big 12. Houston got a big win last night over LSU. Willie Fritz has now won 10 plus games at 5 different programs as a head coach. Absolutely amazing. You saw Army once again, man. You give Army time to prepare, you're in trouble. That team is when they have time to prep for you, you're in deep trouble. They just lean on you, big time win by Army as well. But then, John, you even go to the first round of the college football playoff. I do want to talk about this a little bit more in detail here in a minute. But first round games were on campus. We'll get to that in a minute. Um, but now we look forward to quarterfinal games like Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Orange Bowl later up coming up this week. So as we look to this week's previously best games, I talked about Houston. LSU gives Houston first 10-win season. It's a power conference team since the David Kingler era in 1990. Um, John, what's your thoughts on this game as we start a little bit of recap over the games from the week of?
All right, which game were you talking about? You're just breaking up a little bit on mine, and I do apologize.
You're good, man. LSU and Houston.
Yeah, we knew the quarterback play for LSU going into this game was definitely a question mark because Garrett Musmeyer was not able to go again once again for the LSU. But yeah, LSU returned the kickoff 99 yards to start the game, and they led the game 14-0. And the Houston fans, all in attendance, were like, "Man, we're playing in our own city, and we're not coming ready to play against a quality SEC team in the LSU." But we knew it was going to be a high scoring affair. We just didn't know what the final score outcome could have been. Like you said, Willie Fritz, 10 wins this year. A coach that we kind of have questioned on Four Star Sports Media Network in the past. But man, Houston just came ready and their quarterback play was pretty decent. When I say pretty decent, no interceptions on the day for the quarterback.
Yeah, great play. Really, I mean that's something. If you look at Willie Fritz's ball clubs, they've all had the same characteristic of ball security. They do a really good job of holding on to the football. They don't really have a lot of self-inflicting wounds. When you look at these two teams in the season, John, which matters more? Is it Houston's 10th win, or is it a missed opportunity by LSU to steady the narrative heading into a new Lane School University, LSU?
I'll say Houston just because of the 10 wins. I mean, the goal this year was maybe like a stepping stone, maybe do like 8 to 9 wins or 7 to 8 wins. But for them to get double digit wins under Willie Fritz, under the second year, is quite impressive. Then also, it just shows maybe next year how the Big 12 might shake out. Where we talked about this in August this past season or this season, that the Big 12 very well could be up for grabs. And Houston was predicted to finish toward the bottom, like 13 through 16 range. So that's why I think
Yep.
Houston. It's good to have Houston win this game, just for their sakes going forward.
All right. One last thing on this game. Speaking of the Houston Cougars, does this feel like a program defining moment for them in the new landscape of college football?
I think it does just because they want to keep players at Houston to go from other programs to new programs. I don't think they'll lose that many players into the portal after this game yesterday.
Good point. Good point. All right, man. Let's go Fenway Pop-Tart, Arizona, real quick. The Wasabi Fenway Bowl, we saw Army get the win 41-16, controlled the game with physicality and clock control, that's just Army football, right? But man, their identity, they're a bowl spoiler. Like I talked about a minute ago, when they get a little extra prep time on you, Munkin is tough. Jeff Munkin is really tough. And then we talked about it, John. That's a name Then when you look around the country, you look at the four coaches that left the American to go to upper echelon programs, quote unquote. Um, Munkin and Brian Newberry, the two academy programs head coaches, really either are not getting phone calls or they're not answering the calls that they get. What's your thoughts on a great season by Army, really considering how it started?
Finish the year 7-5, like you said. Finish the year strong, or 7-6. I might add. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, man. Like total domination in that bowl game. I thought UConn without it just, I think it just showed how much UConn throughout the year. Also, man, Jim Moore. Yeah, he's gone on to better things now. But whenever you don't have a head coach for that game like UConn did, it just you can't stop nobody really. 300 plus rushing yards for Army, 100 plus passing yards for Army, and credit the military guys for just also saying, okay, that Navy game, like they had that Navy game won, and just finish the year strong like they did. Credit Army
Yep,
on a great win.
100%, man. Sorry, I was looking at my notes and didn't realize you were over there sneezing. Um, Big time stuff. All right, let's go. All right, man. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and get the sprinkles out. Let's go ahead and go Pop-Tarts Bowl. You see him down there on the bottom of the screen. My boy down there holding the sign. Dreams do come true. Um, Perhaps my favorite bowl game of the season. I almost don't even want to watch any more the rest of the year. I'm just kidding. But I need to see this bowl game continue to market the way they did last year, where you see Pop Tarts, some burnt, some not, posted up around other bowl games. You're looking at another mascot edition. Do the Pop Tarts pop up? Right? No pun intended. They pop up out of a toaster. Um, but to watch how both programs in BYU and Georgia Tech embraced this game when there was so much controversy, and BYU has the opportunity to do something absolutely hilarious next year, and that is to wear their Pop Tart Bowl helmets against Notre Dame, which I think would be great to see. But BYU, big time bowl win, John, 25-21 over Georgia Tech. 21 points for Georgia Tech, John. Interesting. Interesting. As we see Haynes King, and the Yellow Jackets kind of get stymied a little bit against Kalani Satake and the BYU Cougars.
To me, that was a must win game for Georgia Tech. I think just to see how the future can go for a Georgia Tech program. I think, especially the way that the ACC has not been totally dominant this bowl season. I think Georgia Tech had a stable. I mean, Georgia Tech started the year so very well. They could have easily maybe won the ACC off Mr. Haynes King. But we thought Haynes King could have very well been a Mr. Heisman finalist the way they started out the year. But the way I think Georgia Tech turned the ball over the last games or so kind of hurt them a little bit. And I also think where they didn't put enough pressure on the opposing quarterback at times kind of hurt them as well because watching that game yesterday, there's really that much pressure on the BYU quarterback in the second half for Georgia State to win this ball game. I think BYU definitely did want it more, and I think for the BYU, man, they just dominated and they dominated Pop Tarts right after the game.
Yes, they did. Perhaps the greatest, just perhaps the greatest ending to any football game ever. I don't know, man. Like, the guys eating beans out of the trophy was kind of cool. You got the Mayo Bowl coming up. I'll let y'all Google what happens at the end of that game. A lot of people don't like mayonnaise. But all right, let's go. Speaking of people that makes things happen, let's talk about Snoop Dogg, man. Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, by the way. But how about
Love the
Snoop, dude?
CW.
Snoop's down. Snoop is down in the end zone doing a press conference interview, and then goes and catches the kickoff, or well, attempts to catch the kickoff, I should say. But Miami of Ohio attempted to have offensive showing, but they did not, as Fresno State held them well without a touchdown, as Mikey King was efficient. John, he didn't need a big line; he just needed to be efficient and mistake free, and that's what he did. As the Bulldogs of Fresno State get the win 18-3 in the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, perhaps one of my new favorites.
Yeah, Fresno held their opponent to 3 points. So whenever you see a defense like that hold your opponent to 3 points, I think that's quite impressive. But the thing is though about Fresno, man, they only scored 18 of their own points. But it's a Fresno team that I think needed that win against a MAC school in Miami, Ohio. Then on top of that, like you said, Snoop Dogg is showing what he's advertising to do. Just advertise the bowl game at best ability on that CW30 also.
Yeah, and I thought I tell you that is the ACC utilizes the CW during the season, but I'm telling you, man, I like that CW football coverage. I like the sports coverage on the CW. I watch basketball as well and baseball for that matter. The ACC being with the CW, not a bad thing. A lot of people kind of poo pooed on the CW there for a while, but I'm telling you, I enjoy their coverage. Um, Chaos game, John, 49-47, North Texas over San Diego State. Massive game. But, John, another game I want to talk about real quick before we get into a rapid fire session with you is Pitt, East Carolina, John. East Carolina, big win, 23-17. That is now the third consecutive bowl win for the first time in program history for the Pirates. And lo and behold, they wore the throwback uniforms, which, it was so beautiful to see. I'm telling you, it's a team that if you've been listening to me, I've been talking about this football team all season long. I talked about them starting in preseason. You can go back and roll the tape backs on the Tigers Den. I've been talking about this football team since June. There's something about Blake Harrell. There's something about how he's able to motivate this football team through no matter what is happening internally and externally for that matter. Because they didn't have an offensive coordinator. They didn't have their defensive coordinator. They made no excuses. They didn't let it bother them, and they went and got a W, man. Big time win for Blake Harrell and the ECU Pirates. All right, John. It's time for a little bowl blitz rapid fire, and that features you, my
I
friend.
want to say regarding East Carolina game real quick.
Oh, go ahead, bro.
I meant to mention this, man. Like I see this message on Facebook, I believe. Man, I hate this outcome right now for East Carolina after the whistle got blown dead, and then Pittsburgh, scored a scooping score right after that play got blown dead. But the way that East Carolina kind of said, "Okay, we're not going to have one play give us up," because they scored right after Pittsburgh scored, and then they never really bounced back. I mean, they bounced back and won the bowl game, like you said, man. Like they did not have their quarterback either. I don't believe their starting running back entered the portal. A whole bunch of other players optioned out for that game. But like you said, man, Blake Harrell wants to be an East Carolina Pirate, and he's been there since 2020, man. Like he's only 46 years old. Like you said, in June and July and August and September, this is an East Carolina team in the American you cannot forget about. They can give you fits at home. Just look at their history at home alone while beating some Power 4 opponents or even some Power 5 opponents. Just look at their history at home alone since the early 2000s, and you'll see why they're so good at home as well. But man, East Carolina, 9 wins, pretty impressive.
All right, John. Let me hit this real quick. I just got to hit a couple of things. There's one.
What do you guys want to talk about? It's time!
For rapid fire bowl blitz featuring John start event. It's where I give John rapid fire questions and John gives me rapid fire answers. It's kind of a fun little thing like to do. All right, John. So I got really 4 or 5 different things here. All right. So what was your most impressive performance of this past week?
We talked about it. East Carolina and Penn State. Coach Smith
Massive
rallying
win
his
by.
troops. So and Penn State.
All right, most old school win. John and I are kind of old school farts. So most not farts, guys. What most old school win, John?
Army Black Knights. They way dominated the game. It's like one
Physicality
of those
won for
games.
sure
Yeah.
at Fenway. All right. I mean, I assume you're going to go with the one we just talked about. What was your most chaotic game that you encountered over this past week?
Oh man. Most oh man. Um there's other than the East Carolina game, I'm gonna have to go hmm, Virginia, Missouri. I'm not saying it from a referee perspective. I'm saying it from if it I know Eli Drinkwich took his player out on the last play of the game because he touched his head when he got hit on that last play. But man, if a player wants to stay in the game after that, let him stay in the game for that. I know you're gonna put a walk-on quarterback in that position, but man, come on now, Eli Drinkwich, leave your player out there and see what happens.
Okay. All right. We got rapid fire with Sturd here. All right, John. What is your favorite oddball venue played in bowl games? We got, Fenway, you got Pinstripe Bowl, you got Boise, you got Hawaii, you've got numerous different. I mean, Raymond James is kind of a unique venue. What's to in your opinion, what's the best one out there?
Only I'll go two of them. It's kind of interesting. I know people. How about how about the city of Frisco? How they did Jerry's World training camp facility indoor for those two bowl games, and maybe seats what 8,000 people. It felt like, but just the
Yeah, it
way that
wasn't many.
Missouri State and Arkansas State crowded that bowl game, that's pretty impressive.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. All right, John, last one, man. Of the celebrity kind of games, what's your favorite?
It's not existed no more, so let's do the LA Bowl and Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, we did. We saw the last Jimmy Kimmel recently. All right, and that will end the segment.
I did it for The Rock. I did it for the people. I did it. Shut your mouth, you thong wearing fatty.
All right. We'll go ahead and cut that real quick. I know there's a little bit of language at the end of that there. Appreciate everyone watching and listening as we run a live based on the recording. All right, John. Upcoming bowls as we flip over to a little more of like a college football chaos a little bit. All right. So we got upcoming bowl games. You got the Birmingham Bowl coming up tomorrow between Georgia Southern and App State. Interesting notes on that game. App State is the number one most all time played opponent for Georgia Southern, and they have met 40 times. And keep in mind, they were both these are rivals. This is a rivalry game between these two teams tomorrow in Birmingham. And let's not forget the Birmingham Bowl actually does pay out fairly decently. Big time game there, John. App State, I think they come in with a 5-7 on the year, and then Georgia Southern is struggling too. But John, Helton continues to do fairly well at Georgia Southern. He's just kind of consistently under the radar a little bit, just winning ball games. They've now been to what 4 bowl games with Helton. This is his 4th with them. So impressive stuff from Clay Helton.
Credit App State for filling in this bowl game too, man. Like App State was like the last option because everybody else kept optioning out of that game and said we're not going to Birmingham. Throwing shots at other teams, by the way, as well. But yeah, man, like 5-7 App State, 6-7 or 6-win season for Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern wants to win on a high note, but I think App State covers, man. I think the line is 7.5, but I think App State keeps it close just because App State wants to also prove that this season, yeah, it was a down season, but 6 wins is still not a bad season for them.
Not at all. Not at all. All right, man. Let's head to. Well, we got a Tuesday doubleheader, John. We got the Independence Bowl, and then we got the Music City Bowl. 2 of my favorites across the country. So you got the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, which is down in Shreveport, Louisiana. One of my absolute favorites. 2 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN between Coastal Carolina and another team in their home stadium, Louisiana Tech. Um, so get ready there. Um, Interesting stuff. You got spread attack versus Louisiana Tech's opportunity to grab a statement win for their football team. This is going to be a fun one, John. 2 p.m. Tuesday. What's your thoughts on Coastal and Louisiana Tech? And I don't know if you saw, but the Louisiana Tech coach took a taser recently. If you go to Louisiana Tech football, it's one of the coolest videos I've seen in a long time. He completely seizes up, and then he just goes away. It's cool. It's really cool to watch. Go ahead.
Stats wise, these teams are about even. Offense, 321 to 364, a lot of Tech favored. But this game very well could go either way, in my opinion, just because, like, I know Louisiana Tech's playing in their home stadium, but this game could very well go either way. I think Louisiana Tech wins the game, but I think Coastal does cover. The line's at 9.5 right now.
Yep, yep. All right. What about the Music City Bowl? Now, for Tennessee, I mean, you don't have far to travel, but Illinois comes in, physical team. It's coached by Brett Bielema. We understand how that's going to be. It's Tennessee's 57th all-time bowl appearance. They're 30-26 all time. First ever meeting between these two teams. Then you've got Brett Bielema coming in, John. He will tie the program record for bowl games coached with his 3rd. I'll say that again. Illinois head coach Brett Bielema will tie the Illini program record for bowl games coached with 3. He's also looking to tie the program record for bowl wins with 2, while also becoming the first coach in program history to win a bowl game in back-to-back seasons. Interesting matchup there in Nashville, 5:30 Eastern Time on Tuesday the 30th. Going to be a fun matchup, one that I will be paying attention to for sure. Tuesday. Man, Whew.
Flip a coin on this one, right?
I like Illinois. I do. There's something about that physicality that those Brett Bielema teams bring, and then you give time to prepare. Not saying Josh Heupel's not a good football coach when you give him time to prepare, because he is. But that physicality that Bielema is going to bring is going to be a little bit different. And back-to-back seasons where Tennessee meets up with a Big Ten opponent who both teams are physical. Interesting matchup in Nashville. What's your thoughts?
Man, Music City Bowl has not been kind to Tennessee at all over the last decade or so. When I say not good enough for them, is they're not winning games in the Music City in that bowl game. Remember that Purdue game from a couple of years ago, for example. Man, I like Illinois in this one. I think Joey Aguilar has had a heck of a season for Tennessee, and I hope he does come back next year for Tennessee. But he's missing one of his side pieces at the receiving position in Chris Braswell, who entered the NFL draft and now playing in this bowl game. So that's one reason I think. And plus, the running game has kind of not really been impressive lately for Tennessee, also. So that's why I give me Illinois.
Okay. All right. Yeah, good point. All right, man. Let's head down to San Antonio, Texas for the Alamo Bowl. I've been in that stadium. It's a really cool stadium. Um, saw a concert there, but I mean, I'm sure there's a big difference in a Rammstein concert and a football game. Matter of fact, I know there is. But we got TCU, you got USC, 8 p.m. Central Time. That is 9 p.m. Eastern Time, folks. On ESPN, high-powered offense coming in for USC, TCU. Fear the Toad. We may have to reach out upcoming week, and well, we can't. Well, maybe. I don't know. Sorry, my brain just kind of twisted there for a second. Got to thinking about interview. Sorry. Um, you got the Frogs, man. Fear the Toad. Interesting matchup here. Defensively, elite speed. A lot of fun to watch. I think it's going to be a shootout, John. Who wins the Wild West shootout in the Alamo Bowl?
I call it the Anthony Jones Bowl game because he used to coach at TCU. Now he's coaching at Southern Cal, so he's playing his old former team. Uh, yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout also. Garrett Riley and company. Southern Cal gets it done. Southern Cal makes it a 2 touchdown win in Texas, and TCU fans all that showed up, maybe like 40,000 of them. Because we know the Alamo Dome seats like 70,000 for a football game. Let's be real. And the crowd noise does make a factor, right? So, uh, yeah. So let's do Southern Cal by 2 touchdowns here.
Okay. All right. Let's go Wednesday. Reliant Quest Bowl, Iowa versus Vanderbilt, noon. Kickoff Eastern time right there on ESPN in Tampa, Florida. Iowa. I mean, the name speaks for itself. They punt, right? Um, but interesting matchup. Very, very physical. Another physical Big Ten. These Big Ten SEC matchups. I think the ACC SEC needs to get away from each other. I think I'd rather see Big Ten and SEC be. I mean, they're the two power brokers of all of college football or all of college athletics. Let them schedule each other all the time. Hell, I'd love to see Ohio State and Alabama or Ohio State and Georgia all the time. That'd be freaking great. All right. Physical, John. This game's going to be physical on both ends. We know Vanderbilt's physical. Diego Pavia is physical, both with his mouth and with his play. SEC opportunity to kind of right the ship. And you could use it as a recruiting billboard in the state of Florida. What's your thoughts on Iowa and old Vandy?
Now, if you told me this a couple weeks ago, I'd have Vandy beating Iowa. But now I'm going to go the other way and pick Iowa over Vandy. I just think this game in general, like you said, defensive line very well could be, like you brought up, the physicalness between Illinois and Tennessee. The offensive line and defensive line for Iowa has definitely improved over the last year. So, man, I'm going to be honest with you. And also, I think Vanderbilt missing a key piece in this game as well to get ready for the draft, and their tight end position is going to be key. So give me Iowa, man. Iowa's been scoring a lot of points lately. So I would not be surprised if Iowa scores at least 27 in this game in general.
Yeah, their offense has really opened up so far. Well, as of late, great point right there to close out that game. We are on this Bowl Blitz presented to you by by Conference Crunch on the 4 Star Sports Media Network. I'm your host, Wes Pruitt. Got fellow Baldy over there, John Sturdivant, as well, host of Inside the Lines, John Sturdivant, I should say. Let me make sure he gets his proper credit there. We're going through bowl games. It's Bowl Blitz. We're now into New Year's Eve, as we just talked about Iowa and Vanderbilt. Now let's get into the Sun and Cotton Bowls as we talk about Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, Arizona State and Duke, 3:30 Eastern Time on ESPN from El Paso, Texas. Arizona State, chance to kind of end the season on a really bright note. Maybe a season that wasn't what everyone wanted it to be. And then if you're Duke, hey, you're the ACC champion. Continue to win, hold that trophy, take it into recruiting, and go have some fun, because that's going to be a lot of fun to watch between these two teams. I think it's going to be two games offensively. There's going to be really good quarterback play. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love Darian Minson a lot. Sims is a lot of fun to watch as well. I feel like that guy's 50 years old. But disciplined execution and opportunistic defense from Duke, along with a very high-powered offense for Arizona State. It's going to be whatever you can do, I can do better on the other side of the ball. What's your thoughts on Tony the Tiger in a great bowl game?
One of the underrated coaching matchups in the bowl season. Manny Diaz versus Kenny Dillingham from Arizona State. We've seen the reports now. Kenny Dillingham is staying at Arizona State. He didn't want to go anywhere else. Gosh, I had Arizona State this week just on my mind making a statement. Plus, it's kind of like a home game for them as well. So, give me Arizona State. I think they just want to make a statement and say, hey, us winning the Big 12 last year was not a fluke.
All right. Yeah, I see that. All right. Let's get into it, man. College football playoff. It says college football playoff chaos if you're watching there on Facebook, or I'm sorry, on YouTube, X, and X, because we got two different streams going on X. By the way, we appreciate everyone watching and listening. Feel free to comment as well. Sorry if you have commented. I haven't seen it. Okay, we have no comments as of right now. I know John's on it. John will let me know. Let's go down to Dallas, Texas, John. Miami, Ohio State, New Year's Eve night, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, ESPN from Arlington, Texas. Ohio State. Last time we saw them, there was an L taken to Indiana. Last time we saw Miami, they eked one out in a hostile environment at Kyle Field, behind a kind of impressive performance from Miami. But I will say this, John. If you look at Miami, you look at this season as a whole from the Hurricanes, you look at games where there have been elements at play, whether that's wind. Take, for example, last week at Texas A&M. You look at Carson Beck. You look at how he performs. He typically doesn't perform very well in the element. By the way, that's not going to be an issue. This game's being played in Dallas. With that being said, defense travels, John, and Miami's got a hell of a defense. But so does Ohio State. This is going to be a heck of a matchup defensively. Ryan Day's now calling plays, by the way, for the Buckeyes. What's your thoughts, man? This is a massive matchup in this playoff bracket.
Yeah, both teams top 5 in the country. on defense. I think the key here for Miami, though, man, if they can put pressure on the quarterback play at Ohio State like they did Marcel Reed and get turnovers like they did 2 interceptions against them in a low scoring affair in College Station 10-3. But the city of Dallas kind of wishes Texas A&M fans would, be in attendance instead of Miami fans. But Miami fans are still going to travel all across the country just to go to Dallas for the Cotton Bowl. But man, I like Ohio. I mean, if you're also want to say this, 4th downs. If you have the ball inside the 20-yard line on the opposition, you might want to go for it because both teams have a struggling kicker right now as well. But I think Ohio State has more to prove. I think Miami. We have called him Instacart Mario for a reason in games past. But man, Ohio State having that week or 2 weeks off just to get them ready for the Cotton Bowl might have helped them. And I think Ohio State wins. But this could very well be another low scoring game because the way the defenses are for both teams.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch those two teams battle defensively. All right, up next, man, we've got Oregon moved on against James Madison. We saw Oregon score 51 points against the Dukes as they move on to take on Texas Tech. By the way, not to toot my own horn, if you want to roll the tape back to June, July again, it's another team we're talking about on this show that I told you back June, July to keep an eye on. We talked about teams not to sleep on for a national championship. What was the team I said, John?
Red Raiders. Bam, bam.
Red Raiders, Texas Tech. Bang, bang. Why? They've invested in their program. And they've got a football coach in Joey McGuire who is elite when it comes to motivating a football team. He also understands how to find talent, develop talent, and retain talent based on money, oil money that's piling into Texas Tech. January 1st, 2026. It's going to take a while to get used to writing that. 6:30 ESPN, Miami Gardens. Oregon has an explosive offense. Texas Tech has an elite defense. Oregon has a good defense too. Will Oregon play spoiler to an elite season from Texas Tech, John?
I like Texas Tech here. Defensive line has been pretty impressive the last couple of games. Yeah, Texas Tech likes to score points. Oregon likes to score points. But the way that Texas Tech's defensive line is quite impressive to me. I got to go Texas Tech right now. It might change on Friday morning, but I got Texas Tech right now.
I'm going Tech as well, man. Obviously, I mean, I picked them back months ago. All right, man. Let's go. Let's go. Pasadena, California. Beautiful Rose Bowl. God, what an iconic game! What an iconic event. By the way, shout out Angela Sanders Washburn, or Washburn Sanders, I should say, as she is going to be marching in the Rose Bowl parade. Band director at Appling Middle School, by the way. She's been there for, what did she tell me? 30-something years. But Alabama, Indiana. Oh, wait. Yes, we are talking football, folks. Calm down. Indiana is the number 1 seed. You're not dreaming. This is not AI. This is not meta. This is real world stuff. This is like I said a few weeks ago. It's not your great grandma's or grandpa's Indiana. Kurt Signetti has created quite the conundrum for the rest of the nation in college football, John, because he stepped into Indiana and taken the what has historically been known as the worst team in college football and now turned them into a back-to-back playoff team and now the number 1 seed team in all of college football in the playoff. And in comes Alabama. 2 classic brands, 2 classic logos, maybe not the logo you want to normally see on a football helmet for Indiana, but it could be another Who's Your Daddy situation out in Pasadena. Give me the Hoosiers. I'm a Kurt Signetti guy. I'm balled in all the way. I love how he runs his programs. Give me Indiana, man. I think this team is just they're special, and I think Kurt Signetti's a special football coach.
Could not agree more. Um, if Alabama trails 14 to nothing in this game, or even be down 17 at times, you can kiss that win goodbye because I think Indiana's defense could very well be up to the challenge and just show up and just dominate against Tyson. It's a team in Alabama that's not consistent lately with Tyler Simpson at quarterback. He's showing his young ability right now at the quarterback position. I think also what's hurting him also is him not having a stable running back. I know his running back came last game, where they won against Oklahoma, but he's been missing the running game produce a little bit too. And that's one reason I think Indiana might win by 2 touchdowns here.
Yeah, Miami may be the best team in the trenches in this entire bracket. Offense, defensive line, Miami's elite. But I'll tell you this: if you can't run the ball against Indiana, you're in trouble. They shut down Ohio State, and that's not just something that anyone can regularly do. But to your point, Alabama's already coming into the game struggling running the football. It may not bode well for the tie. And by the way, Michigan has their man, so it looks like Kalen DeBoer, happy or not, is going to be in Tuscaloosa for the remaining, at least for now, anyway.
I think the board's on and I think the board's on a hell of a job at Alabama. To be honest with you,
Oh hell yeah,
people
he
that
has,
wanted
man.
him
Here's the
fired, like
thing.
I thought he proved me wrong. Could you imagine him getting like,
It's
for
not
example,
easy.
yeah,
It's
wait till
tough to
next
come in
year,
and follow
man.
the guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but then he's
Yeah,
lost what? He lost 3 games this year. He lost what? 3 games, 4 games last year. He's lost 7 games in 2 years. You've played what? 12, 13, at least 12, 13 games a year. You lost to Georgia. Guess what? Kirby's the best football coach in America. Sorry, it's
mhm.
just a fact. The way Kirby prepares, the way Kirby is just so diligent and how he has his team prepared for every possible situation that could take place in a game, you're not going to touch it. He's the best football coach in America. The only people that beat Georgia is Georgia, and he has them prepared for that. Think about that. Like, really sit back and think about that. The only team to beat Georgia is Georgia, and Kirby has them ready for everything. Georgia's the
I
team
mean,
in this whole bracket that I don't think anybody's really discussing. And it's a team that I will be completely honest with you. I projected Georgia to lose 3 to 4 games this year.
5.
5. And now, 12, 13 weeks later, I'm telling you, Georgia's probably the most quiet assassin in this entire college football bracket, which is why I put college football chaos at the top of the screen. It's pure chaos. But John, as we close up here, we've seen
Georgia
Houston
dominates Ole
hit.
Miss, by the way.
Do what now?
I think Georgia dominates Ole Miss. The way Georgia's defensive line right now has been so great lately against the run and against the pass. Even their secondary has done great lately. I know they're going to put pressure, on Ole Miss's quarterback play. Think about it, man. We don't know how many percent their quarterback play could very well be too, because we saw Simmons come in that game against Tulane. Of course, he got taken back out. But think about it. Could Ole Miss do a 2 quarterback option this game against Georgia, try to throw Georgia a little bit off? Like what Georgia did when they had Gunner stop. I know
Good point.
Carson Beck got injured for that game and Gunner had to come back, that type of stuff. But the way that Georgia's been dominant on the running game too, is what's scary about Georgia right now. If you're a Georgia football fan, because also Georgia has something to prove in New Orleans. Also, after what happened when they played Notre Dame, you might want to remember that because I
It's a good
think, like you
point.
said,
It's a
Kirby
good point.
Smart
And
is one of the greatest coaches out there right now.
I agree. I mean, I think he's the best. I don't think there's anybody out there better than Kirby. Um, I'll say this: I don't think there's a better head coach out there at Kirby Smart at having their team prepared to play week in, week out. And look. I like Pete Golden. I like the hire. I love the little visors. I'd love to get me one of those. As a bald guy, I'd love to get me one of those visors. Um, it's a great story. I just think it ends this week. I just do. I just think it ends the next game. But John, we've seen Houston hit win 10. We saw Army bully its way across Fenway Park. We saw North Texas scorch the scoreboard as there was 96 points combined scored between North Texas and their opponent in a track meet. But now we pivot into a stretch where every possession could affect the eventual national champion. That's what makes this sport so great.
Mm-hmm.
Is because now we get to find out who's the best. But by the way, I do want to invite listeners to send in their Blitz MVP via social media for next week's show. I want to hear your MVP for the week. Who's your most valuable player for Blitz as we get into it next week as we talk quarterfinal reaction and we get into semifinals, John, as we will be down to the final four of the college football playoff. But for John Sturtevant, I am Wes Pruitt. Appreciate everyone watching. Appreciate everyone listening. As always, folks, get up, be kind, and stay classy, folks.